Hello again, Layman and Bruce. Thank you for that response. It really was appreciated. Um, After posting that video comment, I felt quite. Um, I got this sense of the inkling of like fear of humiliation, and then I quickly interrupted that with some mechanisms and so looked for some more information to consume, and then it became too kind of blatantly obvious or clear what I was doing, so I put down the information that I had reached for and had a good cry. Yeah, so thanks for that too, an opportunity to lose something. I'm not sure exactly what, and to put the practice of grief into practice, I guess, in a very small and an immediate way. And then I guess the opportunity for this kind of performative honesty, and an honesty in myself. So I get that the speaking and thinking toward like this, the death of God, can have a kind of a grandeur to it, and there's it's necessary also to come home to the smaller things and the smaller losses, and the smaller the seemingly smaller content that needs to be digested. And I very much am in agreement that with the practice of grief being including that. You can imagine this time, I guess, that I am an audience member or maybe a member of the congregation who has now chased you outside and is pursuing the interaction. Again, off the bat, it would mostly be appreciation from me. Layman, I hear the concerns in terms of maybe setting a precedent for future where there's all manner of commentary and response, and I really mentioning that the fear of humiliation that I encountered just by posting a small thing online. I get a sense of the kind of terror that might come with what you're doing, or sharing yourself online the way that you guys have, because the conversations require a kind of vulnerability, I guess would be the word. So thank you for all of that, and I hope it doesn't descend into that kind of negativity. That's reminding me on Bruce's side, if I hope some feedback like this can at least ameliorate a small sense of that what you mentioned is sometimes being lonely work. It really is appreciated, the whole style of the channel, the editing, and it's the style is an enduring value. For the rest of this video, I just want to share some thoughts that this interaction has inspired in me, where it's led me, having to do with thinking about the death of God, thinking about grieving, and thinking about loss. I appreciate you sharing your thoughts with me, and I also look forward to hearing you develop them in the coming up rethinking religion. I'm looking more and more forward to that. what is most pressing for me, or most wanting to be shared, um, has so I want to come back into this specific death, the death of God, and then that specific loss, and um, uh, thinking about it from an angle maybe of it being um, an upaya, or like a skillful means, um, and this thought is being influenced, or who's in my mind currently, is Patanjali, um, as one of the people who is in the camp of like you can do something about it, like there's methods and stuff. Um, the so so essentially, as I understand it, there's a real incompleteness to the yogic system that he lays out, and it has to do with how the method achieves the final goal. Um, there's like there's something contradictory, something that doesn't quite convert, and it has to do with the meditator taking up the object of meditation, and that very motive, the origin of that movement, um, and it necessarily being towards some object, is what distorts the what is framed as the final goal of yoga, something that um, does not move away from itself like that, that is settled in itself, um, and complete or whole or one, or um, the closer to the point is that that tension is in the system, and the ultimate goal of yoga then is something outside of the system that Patanjali um, uh, develops, systematizes, and then shares in the Yoga Sutras. Um, there's a recommendation in the text though, and it's not it it doesn't have the tone of like this is the only way, but it's like this is probably a really good way to do it. Is that in so the method simply or broadly being meditation, then the suggestion being that the object that you should meditate on is the Lord, God, Ishvara. And then it provides a definition of that and the classic features of, say, omnipresence and omnipotence. And so the yogi is encouraged to develop a relationship um, with the Lord, with God, as the object of their meditation. Um, so where this comes into the thought about loss is that now, so in smaller instances, there's this smaller, I don't know, like a deep interpersonal loving relationship. The experience of loss in a relationship like that is profound and life changing. But there's if one dares the if one dares a relationship with God, it seems one is setting up the two seeming poles that will create the um, a beautiful tension, or the tonus is the word used, the necessary tonus. So part of thinking pragmatically or skillfully about how to set that up, you're thinking about what are the two things that are kind of pulling away from each other, or what is one orientating toward, and what we signify probably all signifying a different thing as God, seems to be an ideal thing to set up a necessary tension. Now that relationship can develop, and part of the necessity of digesting the death of God, I think it would, I mean, this Patanjali example is an example of why it might extend further than, say, um, Western culture. Um, the the setting up of yeah, that we're in a context where there perhaps is a kind of inherent corruption in any idea of God that we form. It helps us, I think, into the next move that seems necessary, possible, optional. I'm not sure. The in that you it's only by daring to come into a relationship that you can lose the thing that you were relating to. So before the death of God can be something that occurs, or something that needs to be digested, understand a wider cultural context in which, and cultural dynamic that gets way more complex, I guess. But I'm speaking more to the individual, in that it's only something that can be digested if it is lost, and it can only be lost if it is dead. Yeah. The kind of concluding thoughts here, there's obviously a lot here, and I really am sharing this because it's where I'm at, and it's where this interaction has inspired me toward, is thinking about losing that loss. This is coming from the video posted, the conversation posted recently, the self-negating relation with Layman and Cadell. What would it mean? What do we mean to lose that loss? Or perhaps a question would be how do you lose that loss? So part of, there's the importance of grieving. There's the importance of coming to terms with the shape of that loss, and perhaps initially, like, the embodied shape of that is one of the postures of grief, or the gestures of grief, and that, but that seems like a step. It doesn't seem to be the final posture. So that cosmic confidence can be hamstrung by this permeability of God, and then the permeability of God giving way to that there's nothing at the other side of this longing but the longing, then prompting that sense of loss, and then the gestures and the embodiments of that loss. But the thing that is really intriguing me currently is then thinking about what it means to not even have that loss, to lose that loss. And so the or might what we've been, might, I guess, just a different way to frame it, might that the shape of loss that is kind of a structural feature of reality, or of our lived reality, is that maybe it can be, maybe it's something other than loss. The the thing that I'm coming to, in terms of what that shape might be, and what might be the thing that helps to facilitate losing the loss, is like giving, like a posture of giving, or giveness, or that seems quite groovy. Okay, I'll leave it there. If you've listened through this too, I really appreciate that. I am looking forward to rethinking religion 3, and wishing you both the best.